Hello and welcome to Keeping It Real, a webinar series presented by the Institute for Responsible Nutrition. Today, we're broadcasting from the MyFitnessPal headquarters in San Francisco. The Institute and MyFitnessPal are co-hosting a 10-day clean eating challenge. Participants are challenged to eat more clean, real food every day for 10 days. If you're interested in reading more about it, go ahead over to realfoods.org. So today, this webinar is intended to help you, our viewers, to eat more clean, real food in your daily life in a way that's easy and stress-free. I'm Lucy Gable, exercise physiologist, nutritionist, and coach, and I'll be your host. I'm speaking today with Dr. Maya Adam, medical doctor and teacher at Stanford University Medical Center, and she also cooks daily for her family. Also, we're speaking with Chef Cindy Gershon, owner of the Sunrise Bistro and Catering in Walnut Creek, California. She's also a high school teacher, and she is the co-author of the book, the Fat Chance, of the Fat Chance cookbook. And so I got a little ahead of myself there, but she wrote the book with Dr. Robert Lustig. Welcome, ladies. Good to see you today.
Thank you.
So the way we're going to run the webinar is we're going to talk for the first 30 minutes. These women are going to give us some lovely stories, and we're going to share some information. And then we're going to invite the participants, you, to go ahead and type into the chat that you see there on the right-hand side of your screen for any questions that you might have, or comments, thoughts, so that we can include you in our discussion.
Or recipes.
Type recipes. Okay. Sure, share some things. So we're going to get started first by asking our guests to talk a little more about themselves and how it is they actually provide education to the groups that they work with. So we're going to start with you, Maya.
Hi, everyone. So I've been teaching at the School of Medicine at Stanford since 2009. I've been at Stanford since 2009. And in 2012, I remember there was kind of this explosion of online learning, and we were experimenting with teaching videos, and somebody asked me at the time, what do you think is the biggest challenge, the biggest health threat facing our children today? And for me, the answer was clear, that it was the food environment that our children are growing up in. And so those two things occurring at the same time, we put together an open online course to help parents to get back into the kitchen and start cooking real healthy food for their children and avoiding processed food. And that course ended up reaching more than 200,000 people in 80 countries. It's on Coursera, and it led to a book that's about to come out in about a month called Food, Love, Family. It's a practical guide to child nutrition. And what we're trying to do here is we're trying not only to offer instruction, but to offer inspiration. So there are stories as well in the course. There are scenes where people are cooking with a child in their arm, and we're just trying to keep it real and show that real people can do it and that it adds a tremendous amount of value to your lives.
Wow. Right. So Cindy, go ahead and please explain to the audience a little more about how you help to provide education to the group that you work with.
I am, I want to say, a nutrition kind of science teacher at Mount Diablo High School out in Concord in Contra Costa County where I live. And about 5 years ago in 2010, I went to this school, and Dr. Robert Lustig and I did a kind of an eat and learn, and we thought, we got to get in there and change the food in the cafeteria, like what you'd observed. It's the environment. And in our case, when you are in schools where children are eating free and reduced breakfast and lunch is being provided, you have an opportunity to really change things, and you can change their health because they're getting 2 meals a day for free at school. So we thought, if we can get into a school, we can get the cafeteria, and I thought, this would be so simple. We'll just go in, well, here's the evidence, change the food, here's how you're going to do it, and we'll work with you, and then we can go on our way. So fast forward 5 years, I am the nutrition teacher, and I'm working with the cafeteria, and it's taken 5 years. But getting the kids involved in cooking and growing it, it's way more than just changing the food in front of them. You have to tell them why they're doing it and give them the tools. So I'm happy to say I went there to see if I can get the food to change in the cafeteria, and I stayed and I'm changing the children. And they eat the food and they love the food. And a lot of what we have spoken about, it's that community building. It's that getting the children involved. They're our next generation. They're the people that are going to be taking care of us. So we really need to take care of them.
I agree. So you each work with different groups of people. And I'm wondering if you might each share a little success story of your own, something that has actually happened with the people that you've worked with, so that our viewers could see that making a change in the way they eat is actually possible. So how about we start with you, Maya? Do you have any success stories?
I'll tell you a personal story that ended up being a success story. About 3.5, 4 years ago, our middle child, a little boy of the age of 3, he got very sick, and we didn't know what was wrong with him. And he, lost a lot of weight, and we couldn't keep the underpants up on his little bony hips. And we were scared. We were scared we were going to lose this child. And after 6 weeks, we were told that Misha has celiac disease. So we were thrown for a loop because we had cooked kind of occasionally, but now we were thrown into a situation where we needed to cook 3 meals a day at home because this child couldn't eat the regular food that was out there. We hadn't yet found the proper, safe, gluten-free foods. And I'm not going to tell you that going gluten-free is going to be the answer to all of your problems, believe me. But what I will tell you is that cooking, that change in our lives, ended up bringing us so much joy. We as a family came together around food and around cooking. And Misha is a perfectly healthy 2nd grader now. He loves cooking. And it's been a gift for our whole family. So I think that's probably the success story that I would share.
I love that.
Well, I had a great success story. My first year of teaching, I'm a chef and a restaurant owner, so I never really, other than raising blended family of 8 children, I really never taught. So here I am in the classroom, and I'm teaching, safety and sanitation, of course, and then the 6 essential nutrients. So how to, I put my, what I was going to teach all together, and in walks the class. And it's like, okay, all right, how am I going to get these kids to eat this? And there was one young man that he had just transferred from a high school in Richmond to our school, and he weighed 400 pounds. He was African American, he weighed 400 pounds. And it was like, oh my gosh. And the principal said, do you think you can help him? And I'm looking around, help him, help the whole class. I mean, these kids are drinking sports drinks. The kid opens up his backpack and pulls out a gallon of Sunny D. And Sunny D is that orange drink. And he thought that it was good for him, and that's what he drank every day. So when I started to teach him, he let go of the Sunny D. We had to explain about water and eating healthy and getting him to eat fruits and veggies. And by the end of the year, this young man had released 100. He's 275 pounds now after a year. And he gets in tears when he talks about it. It changed his life. So that was in 2011. It's 2005. He's in college. He goes to LMC. He wants to be a nutritionist. And he comes and helps me in the after-school program. But he helps all the other kids. And I mean, it's just one story after another of these children learning to eat, explaining to them. Because I'd say, how many of your family have type 2 diabetes? Who has high blood pressure? And everybody's hands went up. They knew somebody. So it empowers them. And then they go home and they know how to cook, and the parents will call me and they'll say, oh my God, this kid cooks, they clean, they tell me how to hold a knife, they do all these things. So that's my success story.
That's a great
Every kid in that class is a success story.
Now, how about just share a couple of seconds about the football team and how no one thought you were going to make a difference with them?
We got a new coach at our school. Our children, they're a very low performing school. So most kids on the SATs, but the STAR testing, if it's a good high school, you're at like 900 to 1,000. Our school tries to get to 650, 675. So they are very low performing. Not only do they perform low educationally, but their sports teams fall apart. And so I said, well, you're not feeding these, they're not eating. So they got a new coach and they said, no, what we're going to do is get a new football coach. We're going to win this year. So I walk out during the summer to meet the new football coach. And I said, I've been cooking with the kids over the summer because I come during the summer on my own time.
Nice.
And I said, I'm your team chef. And he looks at me and he says, what do I need a team chef for? He says, I'm one of the best coaches around. I was at this school, my kids were. I said, okay. So I just came. Just started, and went away for 3 days. And I came back. The coach gets up. She says, you can never go out of town again. He said, those 3 days you were gone, the kids fell apart. So we have formed a team together. Our kids, I get there at 7 in the morning. The kids, the athletes come in, I taught them to cook. We grow things in our garden. We bring in, I talk about nutrition, and I teach them how to take care of themselves. Our team, I said, if you think that you're gonna eat a couple of meals and you're gonna be fine, we are building a team. That means good nutrition and exercise daily and not just once a week. And you need to remove things off the plate, which is the sports drinks and Gatorades and all of these things. And you need to bring good food in. And it was like, as their palates changed, their energy changed. So yeah, we haven't really won a game yet, but you know what, we're scoring. And I said to the kids, it's not about winning, it's about performing. How are you performing in class? How are you performing on the field? So now I've got these kids lined up to come in to eat the football team, to eat lunch with me. And I got the soccer team going, well, what about us? And I got the basketball team, because every kid wants to feel good. Everybody does.
Mm-hmm.
So I could just go on and on. Come see my school. The kids are amazing. I'm waiting for that scores are going to go up.
Well,
because
that's an
I know
exciting
it goes
story.
together.
Yes.
It's a very
It does
exciting
go
story.
together.
Yes.
I think just to add on to that, Cindy,
Yeah.
I think one of the most powerful messages we can give to our children is to teach them, when they look at a food, to ask, is this food worthy of me? Is it good enough? Does it reflect all of the effort that I put into my sports and my schoolwork? And will it support me in all of those things that are so important to me? I think that's very powerful.
But it takes education, and it takes it to be, my feeling is the cafeteria needs to be the extension of the classroom, because we're teaching, those are not food ladies in there, they're career technical educators. So we need to teach the cafeteria ladies about nutrition, and they need to be engaged in the food that they're giving, and they've got to change the cafeterias at school from a profit center where they need to make money to serving our children. And that's what parents need to know too. It's not about just getting a calorie into a child, because a calorie is not a calorie. It's about getting that real food into your child, because they are what they eat. And there is a way that you're supposed to do it. There's carbohydrates, that feed your body. I mean, a sports drink may be a carbohydrate, but it's not the right.
There's not a lot of other good things.
No,
Yeah.
You need to feed your butt everything. But it takes educating, and it takes speaking, and the kids listen, and they want to perform for you. And everybody does. It's also the fountain of youth. And I say, if you want your grandmother to look like me, because I'm old enough to be the grandmother, I said, feed your grandmother. They go home. They go, stop eating like that. Here, please. I said, it's never too late. Never too late.
And your kids go home and start cooking for their family, you said, right?
Absolutely.
Isn't that-
They go home, they cook for their families, they like to shop, they go with their mothers, and the parents are asking them questions now. What can I do to change my family? And I said, no, if you want, get a teenager because they know everything. So I'm giving them a little information, and they go home and they're very powerful. That is the workforce that we need, those teenagers.
So speaking of education, Maya, you have a book coming out soon, don't you?
Yes. So our book, it's already available for pre-order on Amazon, and it's actually a nonprofit book, which is why I don't feel bad about telling you about it, because all of the royalties are going to nonprofit organizations that help promote cooking. And the book is meant to really just, in an accessible way, to tell stories about families around the world, how they cook, to transmit recipes and practical cooking tips and some science around why is home cooking generally healthier? Why is it hard to get fat on simple home cooked foods that really use mostly raw, ingredients and mostly real foods? So that's what we're looking forward to seeing how that can further support our work.
That's amazing. I'm getting this book.
Now, that's going to be very helpful for people to take a look at so that they can bring this into their home and continue to reference something like that, I think.
Yeah, I think we really, when you're asking people to change something about the way in which they function, everybody is, trying to get a million things done in the day. If you want people to really start cooking instead of getting takeouts every day, then you have to show them why. You have to, the question is, where's the money? Why am I going to make these changes? And I think the minute we can start to show the joy, not just the health benefits, but also the joy of simple home cooking, that we'll then sit around a table together, we'll talk more. People will want to come into our homes because we start to get pretty good at cooking. And I think that's the magic and that's the added value that you have to portray alongside the message about health. It should be a celebration of food. No food should be feared. And I think we really, if we emphasize that, we empower our learners and our children and everybody in the society to really make that change.
And it needs to be integrated right into the school plan. And that's what we're doing at my school. I have been mandated by our superintendent to educate my seniors, the kids that have been through, because I have sophomores, juniors, and seniors, and we go back out into the community and they want to have this education from kindergarten through 12th grade. And cooking and gardens, we have tower gardens in our classroom, we grow hydroponically in my class. That needs to be part of the curriculum. Food, energy, nutrition, waste, the environment needs to be integrated straight through the curriculum in schools. And it should be just across the board, across the country. And then, I'm sorry, you'll be out of the job, but it'll be good. We'll love it. But you see our children, but you can come and help. I mean, you're the teacher, and we still need people that are going to be putting that energy in there. We need to motivate our new teachers to come like a 21st century home ec. That this needs to be in every school, and every teacher should be bringing that along in their classrooms.
Cindy, you're very passionate about what you do.
Slightly.
And just before we move on to some more specifics and some examples for people, how they can integrate this into their lives, I want to just ask you if you can briefly share your personal experience with weight loss.
I used to weigh almost 100 pounds more than I weigh now. And about 16 years ago, I've been dieting my whole life since I'm 9 years old. And it was always reduce the calories, increase your exercise, except I would reduce the calories and have no energy to be able to exercise. And so that would last for a couple of weeks, and then the new diet. And so somebody said to me, what I've done is I got rid of the sugar, and this was 16 years ago, I got rid of the sugar and the refined carbohydrates, and I just added a salad and added a fruit at a meal, a whole grain. And I thought, that makes sense. And they said, don't eat in between meals so that you're hungry when you go to eat. Within like 8 months to a year, the 100 pounds is gone, and I've never looked back. But I don't go back to eat those things. Lustig and I sit on the American Heart Association task force, and there are regulations for sugar. I mean, how many grams of sugar should you be eating? For an adult woman, about 24 grams. Well, if you get a soda, it's 50, 60 grams of sugar. I have my kids track how much added sugar they eat in a day, and the average high schooler eats between 100 to 150 grams of sugar a day. And that's what I was doing. I was exercising and I was counting calories instead of sugar grams. And when I changed from calories to eating just breakfast, lunch, and dinner, eliminated the sugar, refined carbohydrates, added a salad at lunch, a salad at dinner, and a whole grain, everything changed.
So you took out a lot of unreal food.
Unreal.
And you started eating more real, clean food.
I ate real food.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
That's the big deal.
And then I got a garden, and then I started eating it. And then I went to the produce market, and I go, this is wonderful, and the tomato smells like a tomato, and
The difference.
it's just the difference. And I was masking it with sugar. And the more sugar I ate, the less appetite I had for real food. You get rid of the sugar, and then you're able to actually taste the sugar in the food. You know what I'm talking
I think that's so powerful what you're saying, because this is, I think, the most powerful thing, especially for our children, when we can teach them to actually prefer the foods that are going to love them back for a lifetime. That's when we've won, right?
Yeah.
But someone had to teach me. Someone had to explain to me what it was, because there was so much misinformation out there. Jenny Craig, I've been on the OptiFast 7 times. Any diet that somebody would say. And I didn't look at my friend to say, you look at your friend and you go, oh God, you just lost weight. How did you do it? But you don't look at them 6 months later when they gain the weight back. You go, oh, I think I'm going to try that diet. And my thought, and this is a crazy thought, but I'm going to tell you, I would say, you know, I get off the diet and then I binge a little bit and I gain 10, 15 pounds back. What I need to do really is go on that diet and lose an extra 10 or 15, get below my weight, so then I can eat my way back up and then I'll be stable, because there's the insanity. So you actually give yourself an eating disorder from dieting. And
Sure.
when you eat well, and I don't even deal with I have young girls in my class. I said, don't even think about dieting. Think about eating well and trust your body will find where it needs to go.
There you go. And you're a wonderful example of the success of that and how one can actually lose
And
weight
it's the
and keep it
fountain
off.
of youth. So if you're older out there, I'm 60 now. I'm turning 60 next week. Fountain of youth is to eat well.
And exercise.
Oh, no. Well, you have
Eat well and
to.
exercise.
If you don't eat well, you will not have the energy to exercise.
True.
You will
That
not
is
be
true.
able to sustain anything. You can't think straight. You can't
That's
do anything.
very true.
So start with eat well. If, like Rob and I say, if you change the food, you change the future.
There you go.
So just change your food today. When do you start? You can start with the next meal.
So that's a great place to segue into the next question.
Okay.
So I want to give everyone out there a few practical tips on how they can incorporate what you're saying into their life. So let's just say, for example, we're doing a real clean food challenge now. So how would each of you advise the viewers, maybe just one top tip on how to get more clean food into their daily life? Your top tip, 1 or 2 tips. What would you say, Maya?
So I would say learn how to chop an onion. It is the most valuable skill you can have. Learn how to chop an onion. Always have onions and garlic, if you like garlic, in your home. Always have olive oil, and always have, you know, the basic seasonings: salt, pepper, a little bit of sugar sometimes, just to, you know, to balance out the flavors. Of course, we never want to use excess amounts of these things. But I think that if you have certain basics in your kitchen, it becomes easy to take any vegetable you have. You can chop up some carrots and broccoli, put them on the sauteed onions with a little bit of soy sauce, and you have a stir fry. Then next day you can chop up some mushrooms and put some fresh thyme or basil, and suddenly you're in the south of France. You can basically take a trip around the world, starting with those sauteed onions. I think it's the most powerful principle you can use in the kitchen. What's yours?
Mine. Okay. Well, I get home from work and I'm like really tired. And my husband likes a meal right away. It's like, oh my gosh. So I have portions of meat, like fish and